Going Magical with Jason.
Hey there, welcome back to the channel. So today is a little different. I say that I think a lot. So in this video here, what I'm doing is I've got it in my brain that I'd like to do a really funny deck. This is not by any means going to be an overpowered crazy deck. I noticed I had some frog cards in my collection. Well, I mean, I've got a lot of cards in my collection, but I thought it'd be really funny to do a deck built around cards that featured frogs. And so I have Grolnok the Omnivore, and I've decided that this cat's going to be my commander. And it's a 3/3 legendary frog. Whenever a frog you control attacks, you mill 3 cards. Whenever a permanent card is put into your graveyard from your library, you exile it with a croak counter on it. You may play lands and cast spells from among the cards you own in exile with croak counters on them. So it's a self-mill sort of strategy, but it'll allow me to play things that I exile as long as it's a permanent card. So the idea is obviously going to be when I'm building the deck, I'm going to skew towards having more permanents than spells. I will put it on some interaction because obviously we're playing green-blue, and so we want to be able to have a little ramp and obviously some interactions. So what I started doing last night is I was going through my cards looking for funny interaction cards as well as for frogs. And so I came across obviously the Aura Frogify. It's an enchant creature. It loses all abilities and becomes a blue frog creature with base power and toughness 1/1. This card's funny to play. It's fun. I mean, look at the art on it. It's a frog with a crown. I mean, it's beautiful. And then I wanted to find cards to help me mill. So obviously I'm focusing on self-mill. So I want to take advantage of milling. So far I've got the Deranged Assistant. You can tap him to mill a card and add 1 colorless. Now, Prophet Crucifix, I believe, is banned. I haven't looked. So this one might not make it into the deck. But I have that idea, obviously. Untapping creatures and lands you control during everybody else's untap steps. And you can cast creature cards as though they had flash. If it's banned, I'll have to cut it. I'll have to put in something else, maybe a Sousa or something along those lines. Basically, last night I was just going through my collection, grabbing things I thought would be good for a blue-green frog deck. And I mean, when is Prophet Crucifix ever not good? Turn to Frog, another one of those funny cards. It's an instant. Until the end of turn, a creature loses all abilities and becomes a blue frog with base power and toughness 1/1. So this is kind of a combat trick card, really. I mean, somebody's coming at you with a massive, indestructible 11/11 trampling creature, and what do you do about it? I turn it into a frog if it's not something that has, you know, protections from being targeted. And then hopefully I kill it when it gets blocked by hopefully a frog. Icthomorphosis, I know it technically isn't a frog, but the art looks kind of froggish, so I kind of went more flavor. Again, it's an enchantment. The creature loses all abilities because of blue fish with base power and toughness 0/1. Probably won't make it into the deck, but it's in my maybe pile. I have Traumatize in here, and it's not to traumatize my opponents. It's me. I want to put the top half of my library into my graveyard. I want to mill myself. So I'm hoping to get a lot of permanents that I can then play with the Omnivore. I put in Thought Scour. Again, hopefully for self-mill. I haven't decided yet if these two are going to make it in there. I've got the Grind Clock and the Millstone. Classic mill. This is kind of my deck building process. You know, I look at cards and then I go, do I put this in? Do I not put this in? I'm looking at the Saga 3 Seasons. And again, it's mill 3 cards, return up to 2 snow permanents from your graveyard to your hand. Choose 3 cards in each graveyard. Their owner shuffles cards into their libraries. So it's definitely in the maybe pile. I haven't decided on it yet. It's something I'm definitely looking at, maybe including, but I think there's better options out there, and I don't like returning things to my opponent's graveyards into their libraries. I have the Papercraft decoy simply because it's a frog, and it's new, and I thought it was kind of cool. Whenever it leaves the battlefield, you can pay 2. If you do, you draw a card. We've got the Whip-Tongue Frog, and let's be honest, we're sort of limited on our frog choices. So this is an old card. It's from Stronghold. It's actually still in really nice shape. We have the Bloated Toad, protection from blue. It's got cycling attached to it, so we can discard it to draw a card if we need to. Kasmina's Transmutation. So I have it in here because, look at the art. It's a frog. It's an enchant creature. That creature loses all abilities and has base power and toughness 1/1. As you can tell, I'm looking to interact with things on the battlefield and mess with people's board states. I have the Milliken. It's construct to tap to mill a card and add a colorless. We have the Chub Toad because look at that thing. It's hilarious. There's a hand sticking out of its mouth. It's kind of wild. I have the Croaking Counterpart, and this is actually the card that got me thinking it'd be really funny to play a frog deck. It looks hilarious. I love the art. Create a token. It's a copy of target non-frog creature, except it becomes a 1/1 green frog. That's hilarious. And it's got flashback. The inspiration for the deck. Right there. Haze Frog. It's a frog with flash. When it enters the battlefield, to prevent all combat damage that other creatures would deal this turn. So it's a nice little fog effect. I actually toyed around with the idea of building frogs and fogs. I know. It's anyway. Relentless Pursuit is in the maybe pile. Reveal cards from your library. Put the 4 cards. Put the creature card or a land card from among them into your hand. Put the rest into your graveyard. So it's kind of, you're getting a creature, maybe a land, and then everything else is going in the bin. So even if you don't reveal a creature and a land, hopefully you reveal something that you can put a croak counter on. Chameleon Colossus, he's a shapeshifter, so it counts as a frog. You can pay 2 green, 2 colorless, and it gets XX, where X is its power. So it probably is going to be the strongest creature in the deck as far as like power and toughness goes. Spore Frog, you sacrifice it, prevent all combat damage will be dealt this turn. So there we go, frogs and fogs. This guy is not a frog, but it has threshold, so it'll be a 4/4 for 3. It's in the maybe pile. I'm not honestly sure if it's going to make the deck or not. This is one of the newer cards from the Kamigawa block, and I love it. It's the Jade Avenger. It's a frog samurai. It's got Bushido 2. Froggy Fighter at the gate. Draw your sword and meet your fate. That flavor text just killing me. It's going in for sure. Then we have some really weird stuff. We have a Crocodile Frog. Now, I'm not sure how that happens in nature, but that's pretty damn wild. It's a frog with reach. It has evolve whenever a creature enters the battlefield under your control. If that creature has a greater power or toughness than this creature, you put a 1/1 counter on this creature. So it has the potential to get bigger. This is another maybe card. This is the Thought Dissector. So target opponent reveals cards from the top of their library until an artifact card or X cards are revealed, whichever comes first. If they reveal an artifact card, you put it into play under your control and sacrifice the Thought Dissector. Put the rest of the revealed cards into that player's graveyard. So I thought of this as a potential mill strategy, but also a way to just steal something from somebody's library. It's kind of like a double-edged sword, right? Both things hurt. Life from the Loam, I'm not sure I need it. If I have my commander out in play and the croak counters are going on, likely I can just play the land anyway. So there was another one of the maybe considerations piles. Explore, you may play additional land on this turn and draw a card, is also a maybe. The reason it's there is I have a couple of landfall triggers I'm trying to go for. Field of Ruin, tap it for a colorless, pay 2, sacrifice it, destroy a non-basic land and opponent controls. Each player searches their library for a basic land, puts it on the battlefield, shuffles their library. So I don't know if I need to explain why the Field of Ruin is a potential. It is pretty cool. Mental note, this is an instant spell that I've had in my collection since I started playing Magic, and this is probably the first deck I've put it into. Put the top 2 cards of your library into your graveyard and draw a card. So you're going to hopefully get 2 crow counters on it and draw a 3rd card. So it's actually good in this deck for 1 blue. Blessed Respite is a potential card, and I think this is just my way of shuffling in the non-permanents that end up in the graveyard that don't get crow counters. Again, I'm still at the very early stages of building, and I'm not sure it's going to go in. Another bunch of cards I'm considering is the Lotus Petal, because it's a 0-cost artifact you can sacrifice to add mana to your mana pool, and I thought it might be good to have an additional fast mana source. Lotus Bloom, suspend 3, you sack it for 3 colors, 3 mana of any color. Not sure if I'm going to play it or not in this deck. It's slow fast mana, if that makes sense. And I've got the Chrome Mox that I would like to potentially add for color fixing. But again, it's a consideration card. I'm looking at things like Dream Twist with Flashback. Target player puts the top 3 cards of their library into their graveyard, and you can flash it back for 2. So I can mill myself for 6 with for 3 mana. So that's pretty decent. And then this is probably going to be the Rockstar, because I can mill myself with it just by playing lands. So it's a Hadron Crab. It's 1 blue. My son absolutely hates this card because I built a 60-card deck around milling people with it, and it was just backbreaking. Getting 2 Hadron Crabs out in play on the first few turns just wrecks everybody. So it's landfall. Whenever land enters the battlefield under your control, target player puts the top 3 cards of their library into their graveyard, and I'm likely going to be the target player. So this card is very good in this particular build. So I'm thinking that I'll likely need to add in some cards to throw some lands out and play very quickly. So some tutoring for lands type things. A lot of the spells I'm going to go back and forth on probably for a while. And then we'll see how it does in playtesting. I do a lot of what I call go fishing, where you kind of slam together the deck to see if it functions, draw a bunch of hands to see what does a good hand look like for this deck, what's a bad hand, what should I mulligan, what should I keep, and really just, is the mana curve correct? Is there enough interaction? How many times am I drawing permanents versus spells into my graveyard with the croak mechanic? So this is where I do all the play testing before I get down to a table and actually play the cards themselves. I also will build the exact duplicate of the deck on Magic Online, because it's a really great way to, you can run the numbers and see, what's my mana curve, what's my color breakdown, how many green cards I have versus blue cards, how many are dual colors, how many are non-colored, how many are permanents, how many are creatures. You can just see all that math right there in front of you, like right away, without needing to sit down there and go through each of the cards yourself. Plus, you can also do a lot of go fishing on there. And one of the things I also like doing is you can just get into some casual games and just put up a playtesting, and say, hey, I'm playtesting a deck, and try to get some rounds in with the deck before you play it in paper with your friends. It's nice to know that it actually functions, and does it create fun games, or does this game play drag? Does it drag the game down? Does it make other players not able to play cards? I don't want to create a deck that is going to basically kill the fun of the game. So I'm trying to create something that everybody's going to enjoy kind of playing with. And maybe we'll get some good laughs out of it. And I have a feeling that the frogs are going to do that. We're going to have some real funny interactions and some good times with it. So let me know what you think of it in the comments below. I'll make follow-up videos as the deck sort of progresses and we start putting things in and taking things out, and we'll see how it ends up. I'll do a final deck list at the end, and I will attach it to this video as well as the update videos. And maybe this is kind of like the experiment where I build the deck with my small community of subscribers or like-minded people that like to build crazy, stupid things like frogs. Until next time, take care out there.